Welcome back to the second installment for the Canon 7 rangefinder. In today's episode, we're tackling the top cover. We're having issues with that piece of glass and the masks that's inside the viewfinder. These are usually made for the different lines of lenses that Canon 7 provides. We're having issues with the 35mm and the 135mm. Starting off with a spanner wrench, we're just going to tackle the lever. We're just going to remove the spanner screw. Once that's removed, there is two washers underneath. One is more of a metallic bracket, and then underneath that is a metal washer. Once we have those removed, we can remove the lever. Just pops out. And then the last item, we can just pull it off. Next, we remove the locking mechanism for the shutter button. Set it at A, and there are three little grommets that is around the locking mechanism. We don't have to remove it all the way, we just need to loosen the grommets out. Just be careful if you do remove them, it's not a big deal, but they are tiny little screws. And then just remove the washer. Next, we remove the shutter speed dial. We set it at 400 ISO, and we place it where it's 1/15th of a second. There's two grommets and one screw that needs to be removed. Again, we don't have to worry about removing the screws all the way out. We can just loosen them, and that should be able to pop the entire dial off. And just a friendly reminder, grommets tend to be very delicate, so just make sure that you're using the right size screwdriver. Next, we're removing the rewind lever. By putting the screwdriver at where the film is placed, we can turn the lever counterclockwise and we're able to unwind it. There is also a washer underneath. Next, we remove the flash socket using the spanner wrench. Once that is loosened and we're able to take it out, we can pull the housing off. I believe it's called a housing. And it just pops right out. Finally, we have two screws that we need to remove. One that's on the front, which is slightly bigger, and a smaller one that's on the other side of the camera. Once all that is removed, we are able to remove the top cover. Just gently wiggle the top cover off, and we should be able to pop it out without disturbing any of the mechanisms that's inside. and we finally have the top off, we were able to look inside the top half of the camera. Once the cover is off, we can see the location of the masks, plus the bracket that operates the mask altogether. And here we can see the issue where the bracket is not moving as smoothly. It's getting stuck in certain areas, which is most likely causing the issue of how the masks are not showing up in the viewfinder. To be able to remove the bracket, we have 2 earrings that need to come off. There's also a spring that is at the back that allows it to spring back and forth. Using tweezers, we are going to remove the spring, keeping in mind that we need to keep a finger over it so it doesn't fly off as the spring is loaded. Once you remove it, keep in mind in which direction the spring was attached. There is a full circle that's attached to the right side of the post and a slight hook that's attached to the left. Next, to remove the earrings, we will need to use a very small screwdriver, and there's a little notch at the very back where we can use for leverage, and we can pop the earrings off. Again, keep in mind to keep your finger there so it doesn't fly out on you. Then we remove the 2 brass washers that were underneath. With the earrings removed, we can remove the main bracket off. And since we're at it, we're just going to remove the little cover that is on top of the viewfinder. It's just slightly glued on. We can just pry it with a screwdriver. And the back eyepiece, there's 1 screw that holds the bracket in. We're able to take that and pop it out. Using isopropyl alcohol, we're just going to clean up the top plate, making sure we get into the little areas. And then we can dry it off with a little bit of air. With hydrogen peroxide, I'm just going to clean the viewfinder. And the same thing with the back eyepiece. And dry it off with a microfiber cloth. And then using hydrogen peroxide again, I'm just cleaning the front mask glass out and the little mirror for the rangefinder as well. Just be very delicate, not too much pressure. Next, we move on to the top cover plate, where there's a broken piece of glass that's come loose from the frame. We're just going to use some isopropyl alcohol to clean off the edges from any dry glue and or dirt that might be there. Using rubber cement glue and using either a toothpick or a pick-like tool, we can apply some of the glue onto the edges, making sure that we're not putting too much that's going to get on the gears or make a mess on the glass itself. Once we applied the glue, we can attach the glass back to the top cover frame, just being mindful of how we put the glass back on and ensure that we don't break it. I'd like to add a little bit more glue just on the edges to create a little bit more of a structure, a sound structure where it just creates an extra bonding to it. And with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and being mindful of where we place the glue, I'm just going to clean the glass from any potential glue that may have gotten onto it. The glue will still be fresh, so just be careful of how you go about doing it. And we'll also go ahead and glue back the cover on the viewfinder. And with hydrogen peroxide, we're just going to clean the eyepiece that we removed off. And we'll just attach it back to the main body. Once all that is done, we can use some dry white lube, a white powder that acts like a lubricant. We're just going to apply it with a brush on the top plate, ensuring when we place the bracket, it will have a much smoother surface to glide on, and ensuring a smoother transition for the masks. We're just going to apply a little bit underneath the bracket as well. We can go ahead and install the bracket by ensuring that we place the little nub at the end onto the slot. And that is what assists with transitioning the masks from one frame to the other. Just make sure that we remove the selector lever to the side so it's not in the way. And here we're just going to give it a couple of test runs to ensure everything is operating smoothly. And using tweezers, we're just going to place the slot against the peg. Sometimes you need to just bend it a little bit, but just be very careful because it's very delicate. Once that's installed, we can put the brass washers back on. And using a long nose needle pliers, we're just going to be reinstalling the E-clips back on there. We just have to be very, very careful as these are really small and we don't want to break the posts that go against it. So just gently, we'll try to snap it back in, making sure that it snaps all the way through. You'll hear it. we do the same thing to the second one. I usually put one against the post and the other part of the plier against the E-ring and just use gentle force. Again, a couple of more test runs just to make sure nothing is catching. Now we need to reinstall the spring, remembering that the full circle side goes to the right post and the hook goes to the left post. Here we have to take our time just because it's a process where we're trying to load up the spring against the post by placing a finger on top while trying to use the tweezers to place it onto the groove in the post to ensure if it does get loose, it won't fly off. Take your time, it will take a bit. Once the spring is installed, we'll do a couple more test runs to make sure everything is moving smoothly. Once everything has been cleaned and reinstalled, we can place the top cover back on, making sure that we select the 35mm selection on the top and we place the key at the bottom in the same position. This way we're able to smoothly put in the plate cover without having it snagging on anything. A quick check to see if all the masks operate the way they're supposed to. We have this 35, the 50, we have the 85 and the 100, and the 135, and they're all nice and visible. Once everything checks out, we can begin reinstalling everything back. Here we start with the 2 screws that hold the plate cover on. Then we install the flash socket back to the other side. Next we install the rewind lever. Then we can open the back door, use the screwdriver to hold the film holder in place, and this way we can tighten the lever on. Next, we're installing the speed dial, ensuring that we place it nice and flat onto the cover. And then we go ahead and tighten the screws back on. Once on, we're just going to test it out to make sure it moves as it should. Then we place the shutter lock system back on, ensuring we install it the same way we took it out. Once installed, we're just going to test things again. And last thing is to install the advance lever, and starting off by putting in the main bracket, ensuring the hole is positioned at the 8 o'clock position. and then the washer. And finally, holding it all together with the spanner screw. And we tighten everything together with the spanner wrench. Just enough, not too tight. And finally, we're just testing everything all together, making sure that everything works as it should. Hope this video is helpful for anybody that has any similar issues or is looking to take their top cover off. Thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.